This is Scott Spears, and I'd like to welcome you to yet another edition of Scott Spears Now, here on WGH Talk. And you are in for a treat today. I am joined by Matt Morgan, one of the co-hosts on the Friday morning program, 10:15 to 11 a.m. on WGH Talk, and the Exchange Club with Pastor Craig, Sean Kraft, and myself, heard every Friday morning from 12:15 to 1 p.m., and then the big Friday night show live every Friday night, 8:15 to 10 p.m., Carrington Nelson, Matt, myself, and Sean Kraft. Don't miss those programs. Streaming live on the website, www.1071.com. Now, next week, you got to tune in. We're going to have another episode of The Exchange here on WGH Television, in which the panelists will be Carrington Nelson, Matt Morgan, and we believe Abby Chase. Now, there's been a long-standing argument between Matt and Abby, and they've never met. This will be the first time they meet next week on air, on the program, to have this discussion. Now, Matt, tell people how this all happened about a month ago and brings us to next week's big program.
We were talking about titles and things like that, and I somehow had brought up the fact that I don't think that you should respect people just because they're older than you are. And then Abby said that my parents should have raised me better.
Now, here's where this thing gets a little janky. It gets a little off to the side. That's a term you like, janky, right?
Yeah.
So we'll start using the term janky. Here's where it gets janky, because respect and a title, I don't understand. Like if I said, let's say Dr. Smith. If I said Dr. Smith is a horrible doctor, clearly I don't respect Dr. Smith, but he's still Dr. Smith. Now that's where I get lost on that whole argument.
I mean, teachers in school, you're supposed to call them Mr. and Mrs. And, it creates I don't really know, how to phrase it, I suppose, but, it creates, a,
Power dynamic.
Yeah, power
But there's supposed to be a power dynamic because it's 1 against 25.
Yes. So, but that kind of helps my point. Why do I have to call somebody who's older than me Mr. or Mrs.? Because there is no power dynamic. Because they're not my teacher. They're not like my mom or dad. They're not my grandparents. They're just older than I am.
But aren't mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aren't those titles?
Yeah, but those are different. Because those are family.
Can't you say, I really don't like Mr. Smith? Clearly you don't respect him. But because he's your elder, you're calling him Mr. Smith.
No, I mean, I've never referred to somebody who's my elder by Mr. or Mrs.
Now here's where I guess we get confused. Because Abby has never met your parents. So I don't think that was a personal stab when she said you weren't raised right. It's like, if you leave the door open at somebody's house, and, people will say, well, were you raised by wolves? It's that type of thing. They're not really taking a slash at your parents. They're just saying, come on.
See, just, if it's not meant to be that way, I just don't see the point in bringing up how I was raised to, bringing up how I was raised to prove your argument or to use it to strengthen your argument is not, doesn't look good, I don't think.
Well, I think when you have something like that, let's say somebody doesn't do something correctly, makes a mess, leaves food out, something like that. What do you blame it on? What if I said, who taught you? Now, is that the same thing as saying, who raised you?
Yeah, I guess. Similar concept.
But don't we always look back to the parents when somebody doesn't quite live up to what we think the standards of society are?
See, that's what my mom thinks. And I'm going to have to disagree with my mom on that one. There are just people I don't like who have fantastic parents, and it's just that simple. It doesn't have anything to do with how you're raised. Some people are just naturally poor people.
Not poor in finances,
Just
poor in personality?
Yes, poor in personality.
Well, I know a lot of those people. But it's interesting because I learned recently that my mom makes a very good macaroni salad. So this apparently is what will chisel into her tombstone, is she made a good macaroni salad.
It was good.
Wouldn't you like to live by that, live and die by that?
Live and die by the macaroni salad.
I never heard so much a raving about macaroni salad.
I mean, it was good.
And it's just homemade macaroni, so I never thought anything of it. I wouldn't know if I got some bad macaroni salad. Now, so tune in next week. The exchange is going to be amazing. Matt, Abby, Carrington, myself, Carrington and I might as well not even be on the show, to be honest with you. We might get up and leave during the episode, because it's going to be something not to be missed. Because you're not going to let her convince you otherwise, correct?
Correct.
Now, she's your elder, though.
That is true.
So you got to be mindful of that.
I mean, I'm gonna talk to her like she's my age, most likely.
Oh, see right there. That right there is probably going to cause a problem.
I mean, I talk to you like you guys are my age.
But I'm easy.
I think most people are.
I'm an easygoing folk. So you got to tune in. It's going to be big. Now, on another note, you have really delved into this whole pay raise in the city in regard to the mayor. Right now, just a little background on this. And there are other people, the auditor, the law director are both up for pay raises as well. But what's going on is, it's a long story, but basically the mayor currently makes around $69,000. And a proposal was put forth by Jason Schauber, city councilman, to say in 4 years we need to raise the salaries, one being the mayor, up to $110,000, I believe. $110,000, a $40,000 raise. So the whole reason given for this was so we get better candidates in 4 years. Well, right here before the election, it's been moved up. So the raise, if voted on, will be moved up to January of this year, when the new mayor takes office. Now, Jason Schauber came on this program, the man who introduced this legislation, and said this is being done, in his opinion, just to give Bill Collins, their buddy, a raise. The mayor says he might veto it. He said that exclusively on my show, that he might veto it if it does pass. Matt, why does this intrigue you, and where are you headed with this?
It intrigues me because I just think that's a lot of money for like raises. Usually it's like, I understand that politicians have bigger raises because they don't get like raises like regularly. So like they just get bigger raises to like, even it out. But $40,000, it's $40,000 a year for 4 years, right?
Right.
So $160,000 in raises overall over the course of 4 years.
For their term, it'd be $160,000, extra $160,000.
That's just absurd.
That'll buy you a couple houses.
The average house, or the average 4-person household in Marion makes just under $40K, and they want to give the mayor
4-person household.
Yeah,
Okay.
4-person.
Think about that.
Makes $40,000 a year, and they want to give the mayor of Marion, and the commissioner, and the
No, the law director and the auditor.
law director and the auditor. That's what I meant. $40,000 raises.
Now, the law director is not a $40,000 raise. He's already making close to that, I believe, now. And
he makes $89,000.
Yeah, and the auditor would only be going up to $80,000, I think, from what they make. It's not a $40,000 raise.
So is the mayor the only one getting the $40,000?
I believe. But they're all getting raises. And the auditor is an interesting question because she just had a vote of no confidence that was even. The council president had to break the tie and vote for confidence in her. And she's running unopposed. So she's going to win regardless because nobody's running against her. And she gets an automatic raise.
I just think it's a poor decision.
Well, Mayor Kellogg has been on record, former Mayor Kellogg, 16-year mayor of Marion, that he doesn't like it. Mayor Schertzer, our current mayor, 16-year incumbent, does not like it. And Jason Schauber, the Republican who put the legislation together, does not like it. So that's where we are with that. So where do you want to go with this story? Because we've got to the election.
So as of currently, I'm putting together some like notes, and I'm going to see if I can interview with Bill Collins and maybe Glenn Coble as well.
Oh, you'd like to talk to Glenn?
Yeah.
He's not hard to get to. I don't know that Bill's hard to get to be honest. He might not be.
We're going to have to see.
Now, what intrigues you about these two men in this particular subject?
I think it's the fact that it was originally supposed to be the 21st of January 2028, and then they moved it up within like 4 months of the election to January 21st of 2024 for the raises to take effect.
So do you subscribe to the idea that Jason Schauber said that they're just doing this to give their buddy a raise because they think Bill Collins is a slam dunk?
I mean, I guess there's no way to be like 100% certain, but like I don't see much of a way where it's not to give Bill Collins a raise. I haven't seen a lot of support around for like Glenn, and like you said, it's basically they think it's basically a slam dunk for Bill Collins. So if they gave Bill Collins a raise, sorry, not if they gave Bill Collins a raise, but if Bill Collins wins and he gets the raise, it almost seems that way. Cause otherwise I don't understand what the purpose of moving it up 4 years would have been.
Well, it's a good question. And we're all going to go from here and see what happens. Now, will the mayor veto it?
I would hope so.
Can they overturn his veto?
I'm not sure. I'm leaning more towards no than yes, but I don't think it'll be close.
So we'll see what happens with that, but you're on that story right now.
I am.
Okay, you're going to go out and fish out people. Bill Collins and Glenn Coble.
Yep.
Drag them in front of the microphones and say, what questions do you want to ask them?
Why they want to, the simple, why do you want to run for mayor? Problems in Marion, how they plan to fix said problems.
What do you think the problems are in Marion?
I'm honestly not all that sure. I've looked into Marion, and we are pretty in the middle of just most crime. But I think the biggest problem in Marion right now has to be financials.
Financials with the city or financials door to door?
The city.
Now, why do you think the city is in financial trouble?
The bond rating is down.
Well, that could be blamed on our past auditor. That's a whole nother saga.
But, finance is finance. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. A problem's a problem.
Well, it is interesting. So we'll see how that all shakes out as time goes on. Now, one thing I wanted you to talk about is you are 19 years old. You're the youngest person on our panel. But you don't like TikTok.
I do not like TikTok.
Now, where did this all start and why?
The dislike for TikTok?
Yes.
I just never really liked, even before TikTok was TikTok, I didn't like it. It used to be a Vine, and then Vine died, and then it went to Musical.ly, and then Musical.ly died, and then it went to TikTok. And TikTok just marketed it right.
But what is it supposed to be?
I don't know. That's they just kind of do dances that mean nothing, and they love it.
But what has this encouraged in society?
I think it has encouraged people to work less. I think they see a lot of people become famous overnight via TikTok and social media platforms, and they're like, I want that, and then that's what they strive for.
Well, I've told this story many times, and I won't say the person's name, but I'll never forget the day. This person was going to college to be a wild animal trainer. And one day they were at work, beyond the time it was to go back to college. And I said, well, what are you still doing here? Well, I've dropped out of college. I don't want to be a wild animal trainer anymore. And I said, well, what do you want to be? And they said, famous. And I said, well, for what? I just want to be famous. And I think this is what TikTok and other platforms have created.
I agree. I think that people like the idea of becoming famous overnight because then they don't have financial problems anymore. People have a tendency to think that
But fame does not go with money.
a lot of the times it does.
Well, I don't know. Not always that I've seen.
At least on social media, like for influencers, they make good money. Like if you are famous on TikTok, you are making good money.
How much money are you making on TikTok?
I would say more than the average person.
Like, what's a figure?
I'm not sure, but a lot of I know that there are people on TikTok who make over $100,000.
$100,000 on TikTok a year?
Yes.
For what?
That's the issue. I don't think they don't do anything. They just make money. They're just advertisements because people watch their videos.
See, that's what's wrong with society. Now, how often do you have to put a video up to get $100,000 a year?
Multiple times a day.
Multiple times a day. Now, what do you got going on in your life multiple times a day that people want to look at?
Nothing. You just do dances. And that's
Dances. See, why do we want to see this? What does this say about society?
I think the attention span of the average person is bottoming out.
But why do we watch this? And why are we paying people for this?
I think they pay people for it for the same reason most people pay just about anybody for things. They pay people on TikTok money for advertising. It's that simple. They get a lot of views. You want them to, their fans to buy your product, that kind of thing. But I don't know why people like to watch it.
Maybe they all have brain tumors or something like that. Because it would seem like a complete waste of time to me just to be sitting there, floop, 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 floop. Why?
It is. I know people who have TikTok and they will tell you that they can just sit on TikTok and scroll for hours and then they'll look up and realize that 3 hours has passed. And I'm like, how do you not that's why I don't like TikTok, because I feel like I'm just wasting my time.
I don't have that kind of time to sit for 3 hours. And I mean, I'm booking interviews and I'm writing script. I can't be sitting there going floop, 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 what your cat doing? That sort of thing. I think that's insanity.
I agree. I think TikTok should be banned. I'm in support of the banning of TikTok.
The banning. Now, does that mean where we tell China, take your TikTok and shove it?
I don't really care what means it happens. I just don't want TikTok anymore.
How is China involved in all this?
Because TikTok is owned by a Chinese company and the government doesn't want... So China has the ability to just basically go into Chinese businesses and say, hey, I want all of your files on everybody. And then they just basically confiscate all the information they have for themselves. And they don't know if China has the ability to do that to TikTok, because they don't want all the information of United States citizens to end up in the hands of China if they're able to take the information from TikTok.
So China wants all of our information?
They want everybody's information, yes.
Yeah, but why is China so information hungry? What are they going to do with all this information?
I don't know, steal money.
But now, what money are you putting on TikTok? What financial information?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, the information they'd be taking is more email, phone number, name, that kind of thing. Like the stuff you use to sign up for TikTok, your information, not so much like the videos. Because like, I don't understand because like people have sued TikTok for backlash for the videos that they have posted, and it doesn't make sense because you posted the video publicly to the internet, and then when the backlash happened, you blamed TikTok.
Well, we have some stories coming up on next week's episode of The Exchange that are from TikTok because they went viral. So the stories start on TikTok, so that's the world we live in now.
That's always fun.
Well,
TikTok stories.
it's interesting. Now, for people who have not seen the Friday night show here on WGH Talk, Friday night 8:15 to 10 p.m., what is that show? How would you describe it now that we've got the full panel of Sean and Carrington, yourself and me? How would you describe the show?
The Friday night show is really fun. We don't talk about a lot of current events. Usually, it's just kind of opinionated based things, and we kind of just argue, if you want to call it that. We discuss what we think about the topic at hand, and then the other person will, rebuke, that kind of thing.
Now, how would you differ that from the Exchange Club, the afternoon show on Friday?
It's a lot more. It's a lot more humor. There's more of an entertainment factor, I think, as opposed to like information.
Now, why do you think there's more entertainment involved in the nighttime program than the daytime program?
I'm not sure why. I've noticed that we laugh a lot more on Friday nights than we do in the evenings.
Less serious topics.
Yeah.
I mean, last week we did Guns in Schools during the 12 o'clock show. There's not a whole lot of humor in that topic.
No.
And that was the majority of the show. And I think Friday night's majority was cooking and dating. So there's a big, wide gap there.
Oh yeah, Carrington's mom made us those cookies.
Now tell people about Carrington's mom's cookies. We've talked about my mom's macaroni salad.
Carrington's mom's cookies are really good. They're like, she makes them with
sea salt.
Yeah, sea salt. They're super soft. So a lot of soft cookies are like spongy almost, but they're not spongy. They're just like soft. They're big cookies. They have a lot of chocolate in them. She uses both milk chocolate chips, and she also like shaves dark chocolate and puts it in the cookie. So it's a really good cookie.
Sounds like you got a recipe. Did you get Carrington's mom's recipe for those cookies?
No.
Now, do you think you could whip up cookies like Carrington's mom?
Probably not. I don't bake.
Do we even know Carrington's mom's name? We don't. Now, here's a little inside bit, little investigative reporting that I know. Your sister dates Carrington's brother.
Yeah.
Now, how did this happen?
I don't know. I have not a clue. I don't talk to my sister really.
Well, there you go.
I don't really have anything to do with her dating life, and vice versa. I don't know why I need to know how they.
Well, not her date, but it used to be the brother would look out for the little sister.
She's got it, bro.
Now, are you sure? How do you know if you don't know anything?
I mean, like in school, I might have paid attention a little more. But once we got to middle school or high school, I just didn't care anymore. I would rather...
Isn't that when you should care, middle school and high school?
I would rather pay attention to what I was doing and focus on things that I wanted to do than pay attention to what Kaylee was doing. And
how old is Kaylee?
18.
And you're 19.
Yeah.
Very similar in age. You think you'd be closer.
We used to be when we were young.
And what happened? What was the falling out?
I do not know.
But there was some kind of falling out, clearly.
I suppose.
You're close with your brother, though.
Yeah.
And he's how much older than you?
Also a year older than I am.
There you go. But there obviously is a dynamic with your sister that has not played out well.
Apparently.
So, in any event, did you know Carrington through the boyfriend? Your sister's boyfriend?
No. When we met her at the fair, or not like when we met her when we had her on at the fair, they had been dating for a while up at that point, but I had no clue that was his sister.
Now, let's be honest. We really didn't even know her name. So that's when I'm going to say I met her. I mean, I know she was up in the break room one day, and I know allegedly we had a conversation. I don't really think we did, but let's say we did. Now, how did you know her prior to that? The fair.
Just work, I guess. I've seen her at work. That's it.
Did you know what her name was?
No.
Neither did I. And last time we did an exchange show, I mispronounced her name, and it all hit the fan.
Kerrigan.
Currigan. Currigan? It's like a water. I think that's nice. Wouldn't you name your kid Currigan?
Maybe. If they were... Currigan.
Currigan. It could be a boy or a girl. Little Currigan, come over here.
Not a bad name.
No, I think it's fine. Carrington is such a long name, you know. And you know what I think of when I think of Carrington? There was a hit show on in the 80s called Dynasty. And it was a #1 show on television. And I believe the family's last name was Carrington. We'll have to fact check that, but I believe that's what it was. I never watched Dynasty, but I remember, I think it was their last names were Carrington.
I've never even heard of this show, so...
Well, no, it would have been before you. It was a big...
Okay.
It was a #1 show at one point called Dynasty.
Before me.
Yeah, it's older than 19 years.
Yeah, that's...
There's a lot of things that are before
Yeah,
you.
most things
I mean, it
are.
dawns on me every so often that you were not alive on September 11th.
Yeah.
How can that be?
I don't know.
I mean, I was only like 7 when September 11th happened, but I was there.
It's kind of weird because like all the teachers you have in school, like at least for me, they were old enough to have like witnessed 9/11, and not like obviously witnessed, but like they watched it on the TV.
It was traumatic.
And yeah, and they will always talk about it, but like we just learned about it in like some like textbooks, and we watched videos and that kind of thing.
Do you think it means anything to you because you were not alive during it?
I think it means less to me than it does the majority of people who are older than me, because it was just another thing I learned about in a textbook in school. It was just closer than most things are.
It seems just like yesterday, and we're taping this episode on September the 6th. So, you know, September 11th, the anniversary is coming up here, and I believe it'll be the 22nd anniversary? My goodness, how can that be? Seems like just yesterday all that tragedy went on. Well, you're going to have to tune in next week. We're going to take a break here, come back with Matt and I, but next week we've got Abby Chase, Carrington Nelson, Matt, the showdown over Mr. or Mrs., and a whole lot of good topics. You're not going to want to miss any of that for love nor money. Are you ready?
Always.
You got to be psyched. Because you're going into a fight. All right, we'll be back with Matt right after this short but important timeout. Well, I hope you got your cheese dip and your sodas. Scott Spears back with Matt Morgan here on Scott Spears Now. Matt can be seen and heard on WGH Talk every Friday morning, 10:15 to 11 a.m., and then on the Exchange Club with Pastor Craig, Sean Kraft, and myself every Friday from 12:15 to 1 p.m., and then the Friday Night Live program every Friday night. Carrington Nelson, Matt Morgan, and myself. WWGH1071.com. Listen live there. That's the way to do it. Now, Matt, plug our shows. Talk about the 10 o'clock show on Friday morning. Talk about the noon show. Talk about the Friday night show a little more in depth. What are people going to get if they tune in during those times?
Oh man. Okay, so the 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock show is going to be a lot of like Jeopardy and guest driven.
Family Feud.
Yeah, Family Feud and guest driven shows. Or not. Yeah, I guess guest and audience driven shows. That's what I meant though. A lot of call-ins during that time and things like that. Giveaways. For the 12 to 1, there's a lot of current events and that kind of thing. We talk about politics, events like that. A little bit of, I guess, kind of like the Friday night show, except more based in seriousness than entertainment. And then the Friday night show, once again, kind of like the Exchange Club, just more entertainment factor, less serious topics.
So now that you've been here since May with us, you've done radio and you've done television. Now we do a version of the Exchange Club on radio and we do a version on television, which people will be able to see next week. Now how do you prepare, what's the differences for people who've never been on television and people who've never done radio?
I mean, honestly, is the preparation really all that different?
I don't think the preparation's different, but like when you're doing this, are you paying attention to different things than you're paying attention to when you're on radio?
Okay, yeah. Well, when I'm on radio, I'm more so, I'm not necessarily forgetting that there's a mic, but like almost, it's kind of like a subconscious thought that there's a mic there. Like I lean into the mic to talk, but it's more so me just having a conversation with who all is there at the moment, and then it's picked up. Whereas with the camera, it's kind of weird because you have to, usually stare at the camera because otherwise it won't be able to hear you. It's just...
Well, you don't have to stare directly, but in that general direction.
Yeah. It's just...
Because people want to see your face, not the side of your head, for an hour.
It's just... there's just more that goes into I guess, TV, because TV, I guess obviously there's visuals. Yep.
Now, are you ever self-conscious because it's visual?
Probably, maybe a little bit.
Like, do you ever think, what am I doing with my hands? Is my head tilted? Am I looking at the camera?
No, I do. I mean, with my hands I do, yeah, because I mess with my hands a lot. Just, even without, like, the recording, I just like to, I guess, twiddle my thumbs kind of thing. But, other than that, no, not really.
Now, I think when we did a couple episodes of this program back in July, the interview show, you were just a few months in, and I asked you, what did you learn about broadcasting up until that point, and you gave us some ideas, and those are available on YouTube if you search Matt Morgan, Scott Spears now. What have you learned now as we head into the fall? We're less than 60 days away from the big election. What have you learned at this point about broadcasting?
There's a lot that goes into it, a lot more than most people would usually think. It's fun. There's a lot of good times you have, but you're always like looking for something, I guess, some kind of entertainment factor, like whether it be a guest, whether it be like music, that kind of thing. Just you look for that. Persistence is a big thing. Once you have a guest on your show and you interview them and whatnot after the show, always send out a thank you. There's just a lot of things.
Well, whose broadcasting school have you attended?
I wonder
who said things like that. But have you found these tips helpful in your broadcasting career?
Yeah. I think the most helpful one is probably like if you're gonna interview somebody, like don't write down questions, because you'll probably end up you won't even realize it, but you'll probably end up not paying attention to what the other person is saying that you're interviewing because you're just thinking about your next question.
That's a big one. Now, one thing you've done since I believe I asked you this last time is you've run the board. And running the board, tell people what running the board in radio means.
When you run the board in radio, you have obviously the actual board, and that part's fairly...
Soundboard.
Yeah, it's fairly...
You're controlling the microphones.
Fairly simple. There's slides. I mean, there's a lot of dials and stuff too, but we don't touch them. I mean, I guess they do. I don't know. I don't touch those. But other than that, it's fairly simple. You just slide the dial up and down to adjust volume. But you do have to remember to obviously turn on the microphones. That's the hardest part for me, is to remember to actually turn on the microphones. With the phone, I have a habit of forgetting to turn that down also, but you have to answer the phones, you have to keep time, you have to you're moderating it basically.
So basically, sitting across the table, watching it done, and actually doing it, what did you find were the differences?
It doesn't look like you're doing all that much, but there's a lot going on. You're paying attention to the person you're sitting across from, you're paying attention to time, you're watching the phones. You have to make sure that it's recording. You have to make sure that the mics aren't clipping. Like, there's just a lot.
So, what was the first bit of advice I think that you ever received in radio from someone, and did it hold true when it came to running the board?
It was, if I make it look easy, then I'm doing my job right. And yeah, I mean, it held true.
But you do, the more you do it, the easier it gets.
I mean, there's just a lot to focus on all at once. You have to make sure, especially the time. That's probably the thing I'm worst at, is the time.
Now, you have said to me that you have felt that broadcasting has been a big part of your life. Where would you say it is now? Are we going downhill? You saying the more you do it, oh my gosh. Or is it, oh man, this is getting better and better?
I think the more I do it, the better it gets. Like, the Bratwurst the time we had at the fair was fantastic. The Bratwurst Festival was fantastic. The interview with Governor Celeste was, like, it doesn't, the quality of anything we do doesn't go downhill based on how long I'm here. It's entertaining. It's just entertaining all the time.
There's a behind the scenes story. People like behind the scenes stuff. So this is a good time to talk about behind the scenes stuff. Tell people where we were, why Governor Celeste was there, and your favorite behind the scenes story from the Governor Celeste interview.
Why we were there?
We were there doing a live broadcast at the Mary Ellen Withrow Museum. We were on location.
We were interviewing Dick Celeste about his book that he had written.
Governor Celeste.
Former Governor Dick Celeste.
Thank you very much. You're getting better.
About a book he had written.
Well, they might not remember that he's governor, or they might not have been around when he was governor, so we have to let him know why we're interviewing him.
No, that's true.
There you go.
I wasn't around.
Broadcasting tip.
We were interviewing him about his book, and one of the big things to talk about in there was a whole chapter talking about his sex addiction that he had. That was fun.
So tell people why that was a moment for you. To set the scene, who's in the room, what happened, and why was it a moment for you?
It was me, Mary Ellen Withrow, former Governor Celeste, and then there was Scott. It was, like, the interview was astounding. Like, it was really good. Mary Ellen Withrow did fantastic, and then Governor Celeste, it was his turn. He did amazing as well. But there was a lot of, like, I guess energy, if you want to say that, in the room. Like during the interview, and then and then when Scott had asked him about the sex addiction, the energy just stopped dead. Like, it was all of a sudden like tangible tension in the room, and I
mean, it's funny to me because Matt was sitting in a chair off to the side, and at that point Mary Ellen really wasn't saying anything. And I felt the tension in the room, but I thought, well, I asked the question. Maybe I just dreamed that tension had happened. So after the interview, I came over and I said to you, what did I ask you when the interview was over?
I think you asked me like how I thought the question went or something along those lines, and I was just like, man, it got tense quick.
It did. It got tense, but he untensed. I mean, we had 45 more minutes with him. So it untensed, but why do you think somebody would write about something and then have a problem being asked about it?
I don't know, which is why I don't. I mean, maybe it's just because they didn't actually have to like talk about it. Writing about it maybe is just a little bit easier because you don't have to actually like speak, and you don't really know or see who is reading your book or who is actually taking the information. But if you're telling somebody something, you know that you are telling that person.
Well, it was one of the. I thought it was a fair question. Tell people a little tidbit from the fair that people did not see or hear on the radio or see on video. What's something that happened that you remember in all those hours we were there at the fair?
Did we get those girls to sing live Taylor Swift?
We took them down to Buckeye Guy, but yeah, we found them. Tell how we found the girls.
We were walking around the the Coliseum, and we heard singing coming from like underneath like the bleacher section, and we went to see what was up with that, and there were like 3 or 4 girls just singing Our Song by Taylor Swift.
In sync.
In the sync. And then we got 2 of them to sing it for us on video.
And it was fascinating, was it not?
It was good.
So we said, we'll take these ladies down to Buckeye Guy and really charge this thing up. And it worked. And he did dance moves in there. It was a whole thing.
Buckeye Guy made it.
Yeah, he did. So, Bratwurst Festival. What do you remember from the Bratwurst Festival?
I remember that I thought it was interesting that they had Carly's Bratwurst and Schmitz right across the road from one another, because that's competitors.
And what did you make of the Queens and the Dirndls and the polka music?
Accordions are still kind of weird to me, but I've never actually seen one played like in real life before. But that's pretty cool, like to actually to see it. He said it's easier than like to play like a violin, but I played the viola, which is similar to a violin, for 2 years, and I would have to. I mean, like, there are 4 strings on a viola, and there are.
Sure, it's viola, or is it viola?
I think it's viola.
Okay. How long did you play the viola? Viola.
I played it for 2 years, but I was in orchestra for I think 3 or 4 total.
So you're gonna now a viola is a violin.
It's just basically just a bigger violin and it gets rid of the E chord, which is like a super small, super sharp chord, and replaces it with a C chord, which is a deeper chord that the violin doesn't have. But other than that, they're basically the same.
Now you're so good at the viola, but you said if I give you sheet music, you can play it.
Maybe.
Well, I thought we were going to have this viola music at the Christmas party.
I'm going to try.
Oh, it's
I gotta buy a viola first.
How much does a viola cost?
$100 and something, probably.
Oh, I'm sure you can probably get them out of somebody's, yard sale.
You could probably find one on the Facebook Marketplace for a decent price.
$10. We're just trying to get rid of this viola. What happened to your viola?
My parents bought it for me because I was in school, obviously. But I hadn't played it since I graduated, and then I actually, like a month or 2 ago, called my mom and asked them if they still had it, and they asked me why, and I was like, because I kind of want to play my viola again, and they told me that they had just sold it like the week prior.
Do you know what kind of show you could have if you opened it with the viola every week?
Opened it playing the viola?
Well, yeah, that could be your thing. Wouldn't it be entertaining? You turn on the radio and you hear, I'm telling you, you say, oh, Matt's going to be on.
That's always fun.
There was a broadcaster named Jack Benny, comedian, who played the violin. That was his shtick. That he played the violin poorly, but that he played the violin.
So his whole thing was that he was just bad at playing the violin?
Well, there were other things about him. He was funny, he told jokes, he was a good broadcaster, but one of his shticks was he always had a violin. That was his prop. Like Bob Hope always had a golf club, and, that was his thing, the violin. But he could play it.
So did he intentionally play it poorly then?
That's always the question. I don't think he intentionally played it poorly unless he was trying to get a punchline with it, but I think he was not as good as a professional.
I don't think anybody's really as good as a professional.
Because I don't think he worked at it enough.
I mean, that's fair. I didn't. It's a lot of work.
Like, it's interesting. Mary Ellen Withrow studied the piano very hard, but because she has not played it for such a long time, she won't even touch a piano.
Yeah, I think if I tried to play my viola, I'd be a little rough.
I think it'd be entertaining, though, don't you?
I think it'd be fun. Like I said, I missed the viola. I just gotta buy a whole new viola. Gotta buy a whole new one now.
Now, if you were telling somebody what makes a broadcast work, what's a good broadcast and what's a bad broadcast, what would you say?
There needs to be a lot of talking and no dead air. There should be, like, humor. You need to make sure... You guys need to act like you're friends.
Even when you're not. Which apparently that phrase has come back to haunt me forever and ever until we die.
It'll be like that.
Well, what happened? Tell people what happened, because this is coming up week after week after week now. Why has this become a thing?
I'm not really sure. I mean, I know that, like, you said it once, like, you've mentioned it to, like, me before, like, before Carrington had gotten here, but I understood what you meant, but you said it to Carrington, and she was just like, oh, so we're not friends then?
Well, I said act like we're friends, act like we're friendly.
She was like, oh, because we're not friends. I get it.
But that wasn't it.
Yeah, and that's, you gotta portray friendliness in pictures, because they're not there. They don't know.
Right, and you don't want it staged.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, we're probably all going to be vacationing together and having a good time together. So we're friends.
Yeah? I mean, I'd say so.
Don't lie to the people. Would you say we're friends?
Yeah.
You were at my cookout.
Yeah, I was there when everybody else had already left.
That's right. That's how we planned that. We said we're going to have the cookout early, get all the good people in there, get them in and out, and then we'll get Matt over, and then we'll just be good. But you stayed for quite a while that night.
Yeah.
You missed your cookout. It felt horrible.
I mean, they probably started around the same time as you, but usually, I mean, like, they played volleyball, I'd assume. So.
We had a great time that day. We had Pastor Craig and Mary Ellen, and my mother was there, and a whole Pastor Craig's companion, Jennifer, and there's a lot of people there. My niece was there, and Sean was there. A lot of people were there. Good time was had by all. Oh, Adam was there. And he was actually good.
Actually?
There was no... Well, Adam will admit himself that he's not well socially. But he was okay that day.
Well, that's good.
He liked the macaroni salad. And he said he doesn't even like macaroni salad.
I'm not a huge fan of macaroni salad.
But you love this macaroni salad.
It was good.
There's something about it. I don't know what it is. And we had I cooked 20 hamburgers and 16 hot dogs on a grill. See, people think all I can do is broadcasting. They have no idea. I'm a regular chef.
I'm not very good on a grill. I'm much better on, like, stovetop.
Well, like stuffing?
Yes, like the stuffing.
No, are you making the stuffing? Or are you talking about cooking on a stove?
I'm talking about cooking on a stove.
Oh, okay. When you said stovetop, I thought you were talking about the stuffing. You know, Thanksgiving's not that far off. People will have the stovetop.
Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday.
Why is Thanksgiving your favorite holiday? Turkey Day.
Yep, I like food.
You like the parade?
I don't watch the parade.
You know who's at the end
I
of
like
the
the
parade?
football game.
What's the football game?
There's a football game every year.
Yeah, but what's the significance of it?
It's
It's not like a championship game.
No, it's not like the champion. It's just the Thanksgiving Day game. Everybody there's like it's on national television, and the majority, I think at least, a large portion of the people who are having Thanksgiving are probably watching that football game. And there are people who give away their Thanksgivings to go watch that football game and dress as giant turkeys. It's become a whole thing in the NFL.
Dress as giant turkeys.
Yeah, like watch the Thanksgiving Day the Thanksgiving Day game, and there will most likely be at least like 4 people you'll see in the audience dressed as turkeys.
Now, what is the significance of dressing as a giant turkey?
It's Thanksgiving, and you're at a football game.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, like, okay, my family, hey, look for the giant turkey?
I guess. I'm not really sure.
Very strange. Hey, you took a trip to Wisconsin.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was good.
You stopped and ate at Harry Carey's. How was that? My favorite spot in Chicago.
I think you hyped them up too much.
No, I don't even think I hyped it.
You said it would be the best place I've ever eaten.
And it was.
It was not.
Well, what did you have?
Chicken Alfredo.
Oh, you had. Well, there you go. What was wrong with it?
It was just, it was just an average chicken Alfredo. Like, there was nothing wrong with it. It was just.
Did you sit in the dining room?
Yes.
Did you have cloth napkins?
Cloth napkins.
Did you have a waiter?
Yep.
Was it on a plate?
I hope so.
What was the problem?
I don't. It was super expensive, and it was just okay.
Well, so did you think maybe the expense dulled your attitude on it?
No, I like chicken Alfredo, and it was okay. Like, it was all right, chicken Alfredo.
I think when the bill came, it kind of dulled your attitude.
See, originally I was thinking about getting steak. I was like, it's a steakhouse, I gotta get a steak. And then I saw the menu, and like all the steaks were like above $50, and I was like, nope, not getting a steak. Pass.
Now, did you Google who Harry Carey was before you went in?
No. But when we were in there, I was looking at the stuff on the wall, and there's a whole bunch of Chicago Cubs stuff, and there's pictures of him like talking to the microphone.
So you said to yourself, Harry Carey is...
He's probably a baseball announcer person.
He was a baseball announcer. He's the best baseball announcer, in my opinion, there ever was.
Well, that's good.
Well, so that's why I sent you to his restaurant. I didn't know there was going to be such a, consternation there.
It was okay.
Listen, I give the place 4 stars.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. Now, people got to tune in because next week we're going to have an episode of The Exchange, and it's going to be something very interesting because we're going to have different ages and different genders on the program. And it's fascinating because we did that not too long ago with Carrington and yourself and Mary Ellen Withrow.
Yeah.
Now, this time somebody else will be sitting in the Mary Ellen Withrow chair. That'll be interesting. But it will be another female, so it'll keep the dynamic the same. But how do you think it will be different, even though you don't know this person, you've never met this person, than it was with Mary Ellen?
We already have a predetermined, disagreed upon topic, basically.
Well, I don't really know. You know, it might just all be fine. We've got a lot of topics. The topic folder's full here.
Always.
Oh, there's never a lack of topics on this program. Now, Carrington, how do you think she'll fare? Because since last, she's come out of her shell, don't you think?
Yeah.
How would you describe her now as when you first met her? When she first came on the air with us, she was a little, what would you say, more timid.
Yeah, I think now, like when she's on air with us, she's a lot more, I don't want to say aggressive, but like she's a lot more like willing to like, I guess give her point and explain it than she was like day one. I don't know that she disagreed with anything anybody said.
No, she was very passive in the beginning. And now she's a lot more argumentative, which I think is good.
Yeah, always good.
She really turned out to be a great fit into our little family here.
She did?
Do you feel the family atmosphere that we have here at this radio station?
Absolutely.
It is just like family. You know, we all disagree. We don't get along all the time. It's dysfunctional. It's like a family.
Yeah.
So Carrington is kind of like your sister.
That's whack.
What was wrong with that?
My sister's dating her brother.
Oh, that's right. There could be some DNA issues there. You know what I'm saying?
A little bit, yeah.
Because if you and her were sister and brother, and your sister's still your sister, then her brother would be dating a sister. So it would be, but I think they do that in England, and they become king and queen.
I think they used to do that. before they were like, I don't know, causing some genetic mix-ups there.
What do you think the age range? How do you think that varies up a program? You being 19, Carrington being 22, me being 27, and some of our other guests being older than 27.
I mean, I think it gives a wide range of like opinions there. There's 2 of the younger people, 2 of the
Watch
older
it.
people.
2 of the older people. That's
2 of
right.
the older people.
2 of the older people. Now, where does old happen? Somewhere around 25.
No, like if you mean like who would if I would call somebody old, I probably wouldn't call somebody old until like 55 or so. Like you have to be like you have to be up in age. But like just older is just anybody like I don't know, older than I am, above the age of like 25 probably.
We don't. Oh, so anybody over 25 is old.
No. Anybody over 25 is older.
Older. So okay, so 27 is a little older than 25. I'll let that pass. All right, tell people the story of your sign off because they're interested in that.
So when we were at the fair, we were talking to George Cassotis, and we brought up, Scott had brought up the fact that the Founding Fathers had mentioned that they think that in 200 years people will have forgotten the sacrifices made to make America what it is. And then Scott asked George how he felt about that. And George Cassotis disagreed and said that the radio station is located where Washington crosses the Delaware.
Where Washington Street crosses Delaware Avenue, which I think is fascinating. I never thought about it.
And it is true.
So you came up with a sign-off that very night, which was?
The sign-off?
Yeah.
From Matthew Morgan and everybody else here at WWGH, where Harding cross. Why did I say Harding? Where?
See, every time he does this, you say Harding. I don't know. It's ingrained in your mind. You have to go home and stand in the mirror and say.
I'm gonna have to just practice, repetition.
Yeah. So as our final 2 minutes come up here, now remember, tune in next week. We got the big exchange group, Carrington, a surprise guest who you've seen before on these programs, but it's been a minute, and Matt will be here as our cameraman chokes to death. Who's your broadcasting? Because you got to have role models. Who would you say is your broadcasting role model?
I'm pretty sure you already asked me this.
I did, but don't give that answer again.
Look, it's the only answer. I don't really watch broadcasters.
Yeah, but you got to aim high.
I like Bobby Bones.
There you go.
I used to grow up listening to Bobby Bones on the way to school.
You grew up listening to him.
And same thing with Earl Pitts.
Oh, Earl Pitts has been on the station.
I love Earl Pitts.
Yeah, he's a good guy. All right, we're going to wrap this episode up, but next week tune in because we're going to have topics galore. Carrington will join us, special guest who you've seen in the past, and a whole lot. Matt will be here for the Big Exchange Club next week, so don't you dare tune away. Stay tuned to WWGH Radio, and for this episode, Matt Morgan, Scott Spears, heading for the dugout.